Today is Thursday, the 23rd, 10 o'clock class. I'm having issues with my camera, so I had to switch cameras. But it'll work. This class will be posted on YouTube later, on Blackboard for you to do. So. All right. Have we started answering questions at all? Okay. Let's start off with that just to get a good feel for things. I think somebody expressed an interest in having a study session tomorrow, Friday, basically at the same time. It will be online. Obviously, if you're busy, you can still benefit from study sessions because it will be online. So it will be a Zoom session, so you don't have to come anywhere. You can participate. If you tune in live, of course, you get to ask questions about the questions you want to know the answer to, and that will be available tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I'll send out an announcement with the Zoom address and the sign in. And I feel like we're kind of rushed this 2 weeks. We didn't have a lot of time to discuss more of the details, especially things like what you don't understand or you're not sure about on the study guides. Somehow or other, I listen to people. Anyway, I'm missing the first page. So, anybody have any questions on Mark 16, the first page? All clear to you? Also, 5 million. You should remember that. We spent a lot of time on that. Number 2, we talked about that in class. Bottom up and top down processing. There'll definitely be questions in the test about those concepts. Pretty easy, actually. Just remember, bottom up means it's really the 5 senses. Messages coming from your body, whereas top down is thinking, it's cognition. So I'll just open the floor. Anybody have any questions on any part of Mod 16? Remember, subliminal messaging is like the threshold that we were talking about, the action potential, where you have a baseline and then you have a threshold. And you can get a message here, like plucked out a hair, went it across somebody's arm. The sensation, the body senses the sensation, okay? But it's not strong enough to get into the brain to say, hey, some guy's dragging a hair across your arm. So we tried it here, we tried it there. And the closer we got to the hand, then people could feel it. So maybe here's the shoulder, here's the elbow area, here's the middle of the forearm, and then, boom, we cross the threshold here because of the many more sensory receptors, and then boom, you get the action potential comes up, goes down, below, normal, comes back. So this is exactly the same kind of concept of absolute threshold, which we saw around here. There it is, 24. The idea of an absolute threshold is you're right here. If I'm sending you a message in your ear, if you're looking at something, if I'm trying to test your touch sensors with dragging a hair across it, if you're right here and sometimes you go over and you can feel it, sometimes you can't feel it, and other times you can, kind of up and down, that's defined as your absolute threshold. So what it means is if you're, unlike the, well, similar to the threshold, if you're above this absolute threshold, you're gonna feel it, and you're going to be able to sense it. If it's below that, well, I shouldn't say sense, perceive it. You're always gonna sense it. If I drag that hair across your arm, you don't perceive it, but you do sense it. But it's not strong enough for you to feel. Same way with absolute threshold. I send that little tone in your ear and you can't hear it, and I raise it up just a little bit and you can hear it, then I'm probably very close to your absolute threshold. That's important because that's the way our senses work, but it also tells us about something that we don't often think about, and that is subliminal messaging. If I'm talking to you in this classroom, or if I'm sitting across from you at a desk, and I'm talking to you like this, I haven't said anything except my words about what I'm talking about. But the fact that I'm sitting there like this with my arms crossed, you're going to see that because your eyeballs are working, and it's going to send a message to you. And the message is probably going to be, this guy's uncomfortable. He doesn't want to talk to me. He's nervous about something or whatever. On the other hand, if I'm talking to you and I'm relaxed, I'm leaning back, yeah, then you can tell that too. That's a subliminal message. Some subliminal messaging, you can see it, but your brain doesn't interpret it for you, which does not mean that the brain doesn't get it. So, did I talk to you about the advertisement for candy shoes? Did I talk about that? No? I get confused with what I said. All right, I'll give you an example of the candy shoes. By the way, I'm going to post this on Blackboard and subliminal messaging. Well, other than that, let me give you an example. There's a question in here about showing pictures before you show them some areas. How about 34? A photo of a nude man or woman was flashed immediately masked before being perceived. People's attention was unconsciously drawn to the images in a way that reflects their, unbelievably, C, sexual orientation. Anybody have the Galaxy phone? Okay. Let's suppose I'm going with that. Whatever this one, we'll call it Galaxy. All right? So, a lot of people like iPhones. They like the features, blah, 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 blah. But my boss wants you to buy a Galaxy. So I work for Galaxy Telephone Company, phone maker, and I've been hired as a consulting psychologist to beef up their sales. So I said, oh, hey, I'm a psychologist. I know how to do that. I'm going to go over to the mall, and I'm going to set up desk with a camera, not a camera, but a TV set connected to the computer. And I say, hey, you want to win an opportunity to get a free phone? All you have to do is watch 2 videos and tell me what you think. Hey, what kind of phone do you have? Oh, I got an old crappy something or other. Hey, would you like a chance? Here, you come over here, you get in the lottery, it's not going to cost you anything. And I want you to look at these 2 videos and see what you think about these brand new phones. This is an iPhone 13. This is a Galaxy model they're on 15. And so you say, sure, I'll do that. No pain. Maybe a chance to win a nice brand new phone. Okay. So again, I'm trying to get you to buy the Galaxy because they don't sell as many Galaxies as they do iPhones. Right? So, okay, what do I have to do? Just watch this video and on a scale, I'll put up a Likert scale, on a scale from 1 to 10, all the numbers in between. After you watch the video, tell me what your impression is of this phone. That's it. And then we'll do it for the iPhone. So, unbeknownst to you, in the Galaxy phone, I have inserted a couple of slides in that video. But they're only a couple, so you don't see it. It just spins and you don't see it. But your eyeballs do see it. Your brain just doesn't consciously pick it up. It does pick it up. So, in the Galaxy, the pictures that I slide in there is a nice, warm puppy, smiling, wagging his tail, right? I put it at the very beginning of the video. Doesn't matter, you don't see it anywhere, but it matters to me because I want to send a message to you. Something good is going to happen. You got this nice picture of an animal, warm and soft, all that kind of stuff. And then you get to the ugly iPhone. Well, I have a picture for you for that too. And the picture is a dead dog with his head cut off and maggots around both ends, bottom of his head, his shoulders, right? But again, you can't see it because there's only a couple of slides. So you watch one, you grade it, watch the other, and hopefully, if my psychology principles are working, whatever you rate the iPhone at, say 8, for the iPhone, Galaxy, I want it to be at least 8, but I would prefer a 9 or 10. And my attempt is to influence you on what phone. To choose. You've probably heard about you can learn a different language or you can understand physics if you just listen to the tapes in your ear before you go to sleep. Just have them play in the background, pi r squared and all that kind of stuff. That's all subliminal messaging, and it works. It works. Nobody's a CJ major here, criminal justice, correct? Walgreens, who you all heard of, like a lot of stores, suffer from a lot of theft, shoplifting. So they hired a security company to improve their security. One thing they told them to do is when a customer goes through the front door, goes through the door, you look up from whatever you're doing, whether you're a cashier or you're a stocker. Stocker, somebody who stocks, not somebody. Anyway, you look up and you say, "Welcome to Walgreens," or "Good afternoon," or something, and you think that maybe you're in Mexico, because those of you who visit Mexico know the people who work in stores are always giving you the greeting of the day. Buenas tardes, buenos dias, whatever. They do it because it's a kind way of starting a relationship. Okay? But at Walgreens, how many been to Walgreens? You get greeted when you walk through the door. You're walking through. Ah, good afternoon. Anyway, they were trained to do that because if somebody's coming into the store to steal and they know stealing is a crime, if somebody who's working the counter or somebody who's working as a stalker looks up and makes eye contact with you, the message to you is, "Oh hell, I'm going to steal from this store," and that guy looked me right in the eye. So if I run out of the store with my deodorant, which is one of the things they like to steal. You didn't know that? Right? Go to the dollar store. Go to the dollar store. They have a million things in there. And if you wanted to buy deodorant, it's in the lockbox where they have to go open up. It's like, what the hell is so precious about it? But that's a lot of people steal it. I haven't got that road in psychology to figure out what they want. So consciously, and maybe unconsciously too, they think, if I steal something in here and I run out the door, I may avoid getting arrested, or maybe I'll get arrested 3 blocks away, and they're going to have to drag me back and say, "Is this the guy you saw stealing the underarm deodorant?" They're going to be able to identify me because they looked at me. I didn't go to the store like this. I just walked in the store, they looked at me and they said, "Good afternoon." And now I'm going to steal, so maybe I'm less motivated to steal. I'll go to another store that doesn't take a look at me while I go through the door. Another thing Walgreens does is they have music coming out of the ceiling. And subliminally, there is statements being made during that music that's below this threshold that you can actually hear the voice. If they put it in there, they determine what people can't hear. They get as close to this absolute threshold as possible. And what does the message say? Walgreens prosecutes shoplifters. Don't shoplift in this store. You can't hear it, but yet it's only in your brain, and your brain is processing it to some level, but not the level of conscious awareness. So those are all examples of subliminal messaging. Okay. Which are all good test questions, by the way. Bunch of subliminal questions. And there's more of it. I'm not going to ask many questions about just notable differences. 45 is absolute threshold. That's definition. That's a good test question. No math problems. I'm not doing any of those. Sensory adaptation. That's a good test question. Why? Because it's something you're familiar with. The answer to 50, anybody know? Anybody answer that? It's B. Sensory adaptation refers to a diminished sensitivity to an unchanging stimulus. When you first come in this room and that fan is there, it's making noise. It is now continuing to make noise. When you first come in, you notice it more because you just heard it. But once my mouth starts running and other things happen, you pay no attention to that fan noise, even though it's the same loudness that it used to be when you walked in. What has happened? Your sensory system has made adaptations. And it says, the noise of that fan is not going to work, so don't pay attention to it. Okay? So, who sat down here first? Did you sit down or the person behind you? Who was first? She was first? Well, doesn't work. You two guys were talking, so that's not going to work. You know what it's called? You know what the people behind you were saying? Okay. Can you tell me? The math is running. What? You can't go to the wild, so you want to run? Why not? You came in. Let us sit down. Did you see him? But you don't. If one was sitting in there in the meeting, would you remember that? Most likely, yes. Okay, so these normal, everyday, mundane pieces of information that comes into our sensory system, yeah, we saw it, but we didn't pay any attention to it because your mind can't deal with all of it. And so, but if you see something odd, like being top, or somebody bright, old, canary yellow dress or something, you might go, wow, that's bright. And you don't remember it, but sorry, ladies, it's so insult to you. It's just the way our system works. So 50 is a definition of sensory adaptation, and that is a good question. Test. '54 is the definition of a perceptual set. That's when you see something and you remember it, like Bolado was talking about. You look at things and determine what they are based on your experience. So, if I walked in here and said, okay, I want you to tell me what this is that's in my hand. I open it up and everybody can see it. It's a white reptile that looks like a frog. Anybody seen a white frog before? No. But if I said, what is this? Would you be able to identify that as a frog? Yeah, you would say, wow, that looks like a frog, but I've never seen a white one. Because you have a perceptual set. Here, look at this. What is it? Yes, it's a Volkswagen. No. You. Oh, it's a toaster. No. Okay? You have a perceptual set about things. When you see something that's novel, that you or hear, or taste, or smell, or touch, you rely on what you already know. That's a perceptual set. And it happens, here's number 55, is a thinking perceptual set. College roommate, she's already told you she's had a long history of depression, she's on medication, and then she's in the room going, ha ha ha, oh, that's so funny. So you say, that's BS. She's not happy. She already told me she's been depressed for 5 years and taking medication. I know that's not true. Or, let's say somebody at work has a history of serious mental illness. They're on medication, they're in therapy, they're doing fine. And then the boss knows this because it's an ADA issue, and he walks by the employee snack room. So as he walks by, he sees Sally in there, and she's going, ha 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 ha, yeah. And so he goes, oh my God, she's having a psychotic episode. Because some people who are mentally ill laugh at things and it's not there that you don't see. What you saying? Yes, they do that. So you hear voices, you know, all the things that can happen to you. Number 60 is a good question because schemas is the way you categorize things in your brain. Like I say, you see what looks to be a frog, but it's white. You don't call it a Volkswagen, you don't call it a toaster. You say, that's a reptile. It's a type of frog. Because your schema tells you that's what it is. I used to have a device, I don't have it anymore. I can show it to you and say, it's a device to help with hearing, but you wouldn't recognize that. Oh, there's another good one. About 70. Talking about in essence, talking about top-down processing, but I read a kind of good question when they did it. I remember it a different way. What it's supposed to say is, because of your environment that you're in, you're listening to very sad music, maybe you're a little bit melancholy, a little bit sad or something. So you're listening to sad music on your DVD or telephone or whatever. And I come in and I say, look, I know you're a smart lady. Spell morning for me. So if you've just been listening to sad music, or you're sad because I almost stole the phone from you, when I say morning, you might say, spell it as M-O-U-R-I-N-G, as in, oh, I'm sad, my dog died in the morning about that. Rather than say morning, M-O-R-N-I-N-G, like, hey, it's morning, it's 10:30. Because your brain was listening to the music and thinking of sad things. So another thing Bolaw will tell us, when it comes to sensories, it all depends on what? What's the rest of that? No? It all depends on context. So, if I say spell red, what are you going to say? R-E-A-D? R-E-D? Here's one some of you will be able to relate to very well. How many learn English as a second language? Aha! Now, what do you think about the English language? Is it difficult to learn? It's extremely difficult to learn. Why? Because we have so many damn words that sound exactly the same, and they're not anywhere near. Color red with, I read the book. You colored the book in red? What are you talking about? No, red. I know, I heard what you said, but red is a color. Well, yeah, but it also means you read something. In the past, if you read it, it would be red. Your language sucks. No wonder I can't speak English. Well, try speaking English when you're an English-born person, and you're still not going to do it right. So if you're born, I have no excuse not to be more proficient in Spanish since I've lived in the Southwest. That's my our peers who do not speak English. Okay, I speak better English. But I would rather be studying in Spanish. Too many idioms, too many words to sound the same. I was talking to someone and I said, that huge zit that you have between your eyeballs makes you look like a cyclops. Not a nice thing to tell somebody that you love, right? But the answer was really good. What was the answer? What's a cyclops? So I had to. This is how you communicate with somebody that is not fluent in own language. You send them a picture. So she has no perceptual cyclops. All right. Well, you're tired of listening to me, so let me fire this thing up.
Pues nada, puedes escribir rápidamente. Con las conexiones instantáneas.
En español. Okay. Everybody, eyes on me for a second. I know it's hard to do this. Okay, everybody in here, raise their right hand, not their left hand. If I would have said, put the hand down. If I would have said, raise your right arm, there's likely somebody in here who would have Praise the Lord. True. Now, what I asked you to do was raise your hand. That's not very hard. And and then I demonstrated what I wanted you to do. I did not say, look, take this finger, this one, this one, this one, bend it down, touch your palm, take the thumb and lock it down, and then show. It'd take me 45 seconds to explain that. You got it with just this. Raise your hand. Or I could just say, do this. And everyone in here would have accomplished that task. And you're saying, big deal. That's pretty simple. Well, it's not simple. It's simpler for us because we have neural pathways that are called mirror neurons. If you already know what a neuron is, this is a special sensory neuron. Very little board to work with. Mirror neuron. Okay. Anybody here know how to shoot a basketball? No? Anybody know how to kick a soccer ball? One victory. How did you learn how to kick a soccer ball? Are you any good at soccer, by the way? I played soccer in college, but that doesn't mean I was very good at it. But I did. How did you learn soccer? Practicing? Okay, so what? Somebody gave you a ball and said, hey. They showed you how to do it? That's the answer. All right, you sophisticated students. Anybody play golf in here? So, if you went to a golfing range and you've never golfed in your life, this is for you too, and somebody says, this is what you do. Put the ball down here, hold the club, I'm not even explain how you lock your hands together, and then you bring it back, keep your eye on the ball, bring it back and swing it, boom. The first time you try it, you're knocking the 350-yard shot. Is that going to happen? Is that going to happen? Is that possible? No. It's not anywhere near possible. And if you work with a pro, watch me. Just watch what I do. See? I put my feet here, I grab it like this, and then I look at the ball, and then I do this, and then is that going to make it? No. It helps. It helps. Especially if I'm telling you, switch the weight on your feet, make sure you twist and all this kind of stuff. Golf, holding a golf club and hitting a ball where you want it to go and as long as you want it to go is difficult. But it can be accomplished. You have mirror neurons, you can hear what your coach is telling you, and you can practice. A lot of times people improve their golf skills by having somebody video it and then slow it down. See, when you were standing here, you all looked good, and then you went back, and then you tilted your head this way and you kind of was looking down at the ball here. That's an error. That's going to help. That's going to increase your chances of not hitting the ball correctly. So, some skills are more difficult to learn, but they all benefit from mirror neurons. There's an interesting one. Snakes are predators to monkeys. So suppose we had monkeys that were born in captivity, and we raised them in our research lab. They've never been out in the wild. They've never been around another monkey who's been out in the wild. And I can't show you because we have two things going on. All right, I'll show you a little video. Say they're in a cage over here on one side of the room. Then there's a cage over here on the other side of the room. Nothing's in there. So there's, what, 20 monkeys in here, and they're just looking at each other and whatever. So I'm the researcher. I find myself a snake. I come over here to the door. I open the door, and I put that stinky snake in there. What's going to happen? Those monkeys are going to go, hey, Fred, what the hell is that? That's what's going to happen. They've never seen a snake. I don't even know what it is. Not much reaction. Okay. Then we take one of our monkeys that we got from the forest, and we put that little monkey here. And then this is the screen so they can both see each other. All these can see them, and you can see you. Then you walk in with the snake in your hand. Walk over here, you open the door, and put the snake in there. And what does this monkey do? It goes as far away from that snake as possible in the corner and starts screaming his head off. Why? He's been in the jungle. He knows snakes are predators and they will kill you. He learned by watching others. Soccer, especially if you're very talented, flip it around and do all this stuff. Used to play volleyball with a soccer ball, doing getters, all sorts of skill sets, right? Did you do that one? Yeah, okay, it works. So here's this monkey over in the corner. I'm crazy, right? So from now on, for the rest of their life, if one of these monkeys is in the proximity of a snake, he or she is going to go bat crap crazy. All it takes is one exposure. So that's another example of your neurons. So here's the more funny one. Work on those thumbs, doggy. And she talked to her dog and said, okay, Spike, I want you to sit down, I want you to take your paws and do what I want to do. You can do that. The dog's not going to understand you have to think you're good. But dogs have mirror neurons too, just like monkeys in a cage. And they can mimic what you're doing if you encourage them for the next subject we're going to get onto, behavioral modification. If you behaviorally modify them so that they learn this behavior because you have trained them to do so. We get a double here. Not only mirror neurons, but also behavior modification. But okay, this is V.F. Skinner in the flesh, not this guy. You can't really tell what this is. It's a Skinner box. Skinner box is a box which he uses for experiments that he's conducted. Skinner and Watson believe, question on the clinic guide about this, they don't care about introspection, which is you looking at yourself saying, yeah, I need to lose some weight. Something like that. Behavioralism came into fashion about 1929, right after people got tired of listening to the psychoanalytical Freud ideas. Freud said, hey, it's all in the mind. I'm a medical doctor, guys. I can't be a psychiatrist because back when I practiced medicine, there were no psychiatrists. But in essence, I'm a psychiatrist, okay? So people would come to see me. I was either an internal medicine doctor, which may not have either, so we just call it a general practice doctor. So people come to see him, and he was living in Vienna, and the only people who had money to pay for him, wealthy merchants, who would spend most of their time away from home, either working or in bars, working, cutting deals, and whatever they're doing. And they leave their poor wives at home, taking care of the kids? No. They have a maid to do that, live-in maid. So what do wives have to do if their husband's not there? Somebody else is cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids. So what do? They just sit around and moan. There's no novellas, nada. Okay? So, but they do have friends. So they're sort of hanging on their friends. Many of them started having physical ailments, like their arm would go numb, or they had this really big pain in their stomach, or there was a shooting pain in the shoulder. And so they would complain to their husband, and their husband said, I don't have time to listen to that crap. Here's some money. We'll have the driver take you down to see Dr. Floyd because he's new in town and people say he's good. So he takes a look at you neurologically, probably biochemically. I don't know how sophisticated that study was back then. But anyway, he comes up with a decision. These people do not have a true physical ailment. Do they feel it? Yes, they do. Well, how could they feel a pain when there's no reason for them to feel pain? That's what got Freud into thinking it's all in your mind. And he was right. So that started him on his quest to understand why people do what they do, feel pain or act this way. And behavioralists said, oh, shut up. You're stupid. Can you prove any of this? Well, no, I have my notes from I've seen 10,000 patients. Did you test them in any way? Did you measure, movement? Well, doctor, my arm hurts when I do that. Well, don't do that. That doesn't help, right? So it was a time in the age for true experiments, true scientific method, because there was nothing before that except anecdotal comments by people like Freud. Not to say he was wrong, but he couldn't prove anything. So Watson and this dude, Skinner, says, hey, I'm a scientist, you moron. I know how to conduct experiments. I can document every damn bird, every amount of food I ever gave him, how many times I had to reinforce him to get him to do what I wanted to do. I can prove it. I got it on tape. I got machines. And so people are like, wow. Psychology is not the study of the mind, it's a study of behavior. So, this is a Skinner box. This bird is responding to, this is a box where there's food in there. Once Skinner puts it in there, and over here, which you can't see, but you know in a minute, is a light. Another visual clue in case the bird is hard of hearing. What? The bird is hard of hearing. Oh, okay. So you get two things. You get the door, which goes clunk, and then the food appears, and you have a light that goes off. So it's two cues, like Pavlov and ringing the bell, instead of having the food in front of you. So, two things you need to know about this bird. One, he's already trained. This is not his first county fair. He knows what the light means. He knows what that clump means. It means there's food. So, first thing Skinner does is he puts, when the assistant puts the bird up on the cage, he immediately hits the button and feeds it. Why? The bird hasn't done anything. Well, he's being videoed. Even in the old days, video. So he wants to make sure this bird performs correctly. So he feeds him to make sure the bird remembers, hey, bird brain, when you see that light and you hear that noise, that means there's food there. What do you think? You think he just picked up that bird out of his collection and decided to use him for that experiment? See, we were talking about food the other day. Who's a pizza? Pizza. Okay. So you need, in fact, do a little over. I don't know how much pizza people would eat pizza. My son needs the whole damn thing with one buy it once a game. So he's pretty capable of eating a lot of pizza. Okay, so let's say you have that pizza, you're piano, you're full, and then I come to you and say, oh, Domino's is here. Let's say the pizza guy's here. Would you like a piece of pizza? No. Why? Because you're not wanting to like pizza. You might take it and say, can I eat it later? No, you have to eat it now. Okay, then I can't get it. So, this bird is hungry. Why do we want him hungry? Because it increases the chances that he will do what I want him to do if I use food as an incentive. Right? So, let's do it. Skinner's kind of hard to hear. He's one of these guys that mumbles. I don't have that problem. All right, we forgot sometimes it just takes a picture of it. That sucks. Can you hear that? Up. It's up all the way. That doesn't matter. I'll narrate it for you. Okay. There you saw the light. You didn't hear the clunk because the stupid video is not loud enough. So he sped. That tells Skinner he remembers the rules of the road here. So then Skinner decides, well, I'm going to try to get him to do something. What do I want him to do? Oh, I got an idea. I want him to do a 360. Should I have to turn clockwise or counterclockwise? Oh, I think I'll have him turn counterclockwise. So as soon as he looks to the left here, I'm going to feed it. Boom! Feeds it. Then he's over on the left-hand side again, but he hasn't been fed. Why? Because I don't want him to just go here. I want him to go all the way around. So I'm going to shape his behavior. I'm going to give him food here, and then I'll wait till he gets at 9 o'clock on the clock, which is, 1/4 of a turn. Really? Well, this is his machine. He's got it all down. There he goes. Okay. I'm going to explain this one too. So he's got him moving to the left, but he doesn't want him to do this. He wants him to go forward. So this time I'm going to only feed him if he goes to at least 9 o'clock on the clock. So he turns to 9 o'clock, he feeds him. He comes back, the bird is looking to the right, standing still, looking to the left. He waits until the behavior that he wants to reinforce is observed. So the second time, the bird goes like to 6 o'clock on the clock. The third time, he goes all the way through 6 o'clock. Now, there's a couple things you have to know. Pigeons do turn. They do walk around and usually looking at the ground for food. They don't look inside that black box there for food normally. You go outside and see some of these winged rats called pigeons. Watch what they do. They walk around and they look, and they're looking for food on the ground. Nobody takes a nice piece of popcorn or Snickers bar and sticks it on the wall so the bird can eat it. It doesn't work out there. They look down here. You saw that dog on the yoga mat put up his arms like this, like his own doing some kind of curl. The dog can't, because of the small, he can't grasp a bar and curl it. So the woman is just happy that he's mimicking what I'm doing. I just do it the way that he can. So you have to know the limitations of your subject. In this case, it's a bird. So birds normally do these kinds of things. It's not a big issue. Now, we have a Skinner box. We have the food tray. And up here, we have a slot. That's open. And behind this hole here is the disc. So, answer this question. Can birds read English or Spanish or otro idioma? Can birds read? No. So, on this disc are 2 words. Okay? And upside down, because when it turns up, it'll be right side up. The word turn. This is behind here, and it could be moved. So you see the word turn. And then when you move it, it goes back to text. So this word right here has been taught to read? No. Discriminate. One of your words in your study guides and in your reading is discriminate. If I asked you to wash my car for money and you said you would, so then I produce 55 cents and say, go clean my car. No. That's not good. So you have to be specific. Will you wash my car for 40 bucks? Oh, yeah. Okay, discriminate between this and 40 bucks. Pretty easy for you. For a bird that can't read, all the bird knows is they have good eyes. Is when this thing pops up, whatever the hell that means, because I don't speak English and I don't read. But all learning is associative, right? It's all about associations. We don't call that chair. That's Sia. We don't call it a Volkswagen. We don't call it a toaster. We call it a washing machine because we know the word Sia and the word chair means that object there because we have associated it from our learning in the past. This pigeon knows how to peck on the wall. This pigeon knows how to turn. So Skinner discriminated, just like he did with the original video. If the bird turns right, you don't get fed. So you better turn left. So you turn left to get fed. So when this word pops up, the bird sees it and he remembers, oh, this idiot wants me to do a turn. So I'm going to turn and then I get fed. Or if peck comes up, he wants me to hit the wall here with my beak and then I get fed. So no, the bird can't read, but the bird can discriminate. Behavioral modification does not work unless you can discriminate. So, when you go into a first grade class and you're observing them, the teacher is not going to say, "Bye, class." I want you to sit correctly in your chair. I'm not doing a handstand here. Oh. But I didn't bring in candy. Pass it out. Pretend is this quarter valuable to you? Valuable to you? If you want it, if I give it to you? Yes? But yes? No answer? You don't care one way or the other? How about $1? Would you care more if I gave you $1? Okay. This is going to be a costly experiment. Okay, so you're all a bunch of first graders. What's your name? Lassie. Lassie, you're sitting so nicely in your chair. I'm going to reward you and give you this $1. Boom! Everyone in the room goes, what? They sit exactly like that. Teachers will do it. Okay, it's almost lunchtime. Who wants to be the line leader? Well, you must be interested in being the line leader. You're sitting, your desk is clean, your hands are on your lap. You are a good candidate for line leader. You've got stuff on your desk. I don't even say that. I don't do negative. I just do positive. You've done the right thing. You've cleaned your desk. You're sitting quietly. You could be the line leader. The line leader, of course, is the first person in the line. Is that important to a first grader? Yes, it is. Is it important to you? No. But you're not a first grader. So teachers do weird things. You're sitting nicely, quietly, paying attention. After class, you become a race award for me. Yeah! You say, what the hell was that about? It's social recognition. It's recognition from your instructor because you know your instructor wants help. So these things motivate you. Okay? Which brings up the term reinforcer. Reinforcer is something I do, something that occurs that tends to make you repeat that behavior again. Okay, students, if you know the answer to this question, I'm going to give you this piece of candy, okay? So, everybody who thinks they know the answer, let me know. What do you go for? I know, pick me! So, I ignore you and go, oh, you cut your hand up, you're sitting quietly, you're waiting for me to call on you. Great, I'm going to give you the gift. I've never said anything negative to him, but like that, he will remember, oh, that's not what we do. Raise our hand, keep our mouth shut. Now you'll notice this transition in college, since you're all in college. Some people raise their hand to ask a question. Others just say, hey, I'm wondering what's going on. To most college instructors, it's not an issue. Some who are anal retentive, which is another thing we'll discuss in these days, they're insulted that you would actually say something and not be called. In fact, some people are so rigid in their training, I'll have to say in a class, by the way, guys, if you have anything to say, just say it. I would rather have you say it while it's on your mind than wait 5 minutes until I take a breath, and then you can ask a question. I have to set the rules and discriminate. You'll have students tell you, do you do attendance? I said, well, yeah, I do attendance. Sort of. Do you use it against them? They say it in a nice way. Does attendance affect your grade? That's a nice neutral way of saying it. Does attendance affect your grade in this class? They want to know. That's a discriminating question. Because some faculty will say, yeah, 20% of your grade is attendance. And if you don't come, then I take away points. Or I fail to give you extra points, I guess would be a better way of saying it. So that's the world of reinforcers. By the way, when I ask you whether a quarter really meant anything to you or not, really didn't, so I upped the ante to $1. You discriminate, just like if I ask you to wash my car and I give you 80 cents and you say no. And I say, well, I thought you worked for money. I do. Well, here's money. I want you to wash my car. Doesn't work that way. I'm not interested. So you are the operator in operant behavior or operant condition. Two types of conditioning: classical and operant. We talked about this before. No. Classical conditioning was what Pavlov discovered through his physiological experiments with dogs and saliva. We all salivate, correct? Why do we salivate? What is the purpose of saliva or saliva? What does it do for us? It breaks down food. It's part of the process of digestion. In your mouth, you have teeth, and you have saliva. teeth, grind, crush, cut, and saliva squirts on your food and starts breaking it down so your body can take advantage of it. So Ivan Pavlov, the Russian physiologist, had this dog on a machine with his cheek excised, big cut, skin peeled away, right by the salivary glands. He's got a piece of plastic connected to a tube. And so every time this dog salivates, the saliva goes down into the tube and he can measure it. So he's working on how salivary glands work and how that means whatever. So here's the story. He's in his laboratory. The dog is hooked up to the machine. Pavlov's writing some notes, and his assistant comes through the door to tell him something. Bam! The dog salivates. What? This dog likes the looks of his lab assistant? That's magic money. No. So Pavlov says to himself, why did that damn dog salivate? There's no food in here. He does salivate when I bring food in here. Oh, let me restate that. I don't bring it in. My assistant brings it in. And how is my assistant dressed? In a white lab coat, because the assistant also cleans up excrement, urine, and other things from the lab, and he doesn't want any of that on his clothes. So then Pavlov thinks, that dog is salivating because this is the guy who feeds him. Yeah, but he's not the only guy that feeds him. Yes, but every lab assistant who feeds him is always in a white coat. Guess what? I'm Dr. Pavlov. I don't wear a lab coat because I don't get dirty. I think that's what I got my PhD for. So he figured out the dog was salivating because of the presence of the white coat. So he says, well, if this dog is going to salivate to a white coat, maybe I can get him salivate for something else. So he got himself one of those little bells that people put on the desk at a business when they can't see you because you're doing something, and the sign that says, if no one's at the desk, hit the bell. I don't see anybody. Woo! A reach back comes out and helps you. So, if this was the bell, and I walked in and I showed it to the dog, is the dog going to salivate? Is the dog going to do anything? Might look at it. About it, right? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bowl of food and I'm going to have the dog right here and I'm going to put the food. By now the dog is salivating. All he needs to do is see it. He can probably smell it for sure. He's already salivating. So I'm not really worried about that. What I'm worried about is associative learning, associations. So I give him the food, I put the bell down, I hit the bell, give him the food, he eats. The next day, same thing. I do this about 10, 15 times. I don't know, I'm recording it all. And then I come in with just the bell. Salivation. Why? Because I have paired what was used to be called a neutral stimulus with the unconditioned stimulus, which is the food, to get the unconditioned response, which is saliva. So therefore, this little smell takes the place of the white coat, which took the place of the food. And so that's classical conditioning. Operant conditioning is what I was doing, trying to get somebody to wash my car for 80 cents, or trying to get her to respond to 25 cents or $1. Because it's up to her. Just like it's up to you whether you wash my car for 80 cents or not. That's the operant side. O-P-E-R, Latin prefix, like in operator, words. Operant means you choose. I present the stimulus, and you choose what you're going to do about it. Not going to respond to 25 cents, but you will respond to that. That's operant conditioning. And if you guys haven't watched it, I've got a whole hour video on behavioral techniques and all this language of what's a UC, what's a conditioned response, what's an unconditioned stimulus, all that stuff. That's going to be on the test. So you really do want to watch that video. It's another option for you. All right. Now I've got to get out of it because I have a class coming in. But we'll have an online review tomorrow, 10 o'clock. I'll send out a Zoom address for you, and you can attend if you want. The test will be released on Friday. We'll have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to do Sunday night. Okay? All right. Nobody needs it. These handouts. Hey, so I'm not saying. Okay, that's it. Have all experience and taste of food. It's not the taste of food, it's the presence of food. Triggered the dog salvation. Salvation to the taste of food was an unconditioned response. You didn't teach the dog to salivate. They just do it naturally because it's a food.
I was confused with the word.
Huh?
I was a little confused with the word.
Well, I mean, they can't even do a decent question. It's not the taste of the food. The dog responds because of.
Mr. Neal.
What are we doing here?
Mr. Neal?